Birth of a Genius, 1815. On December 10, 1815, in London, a baby girl was born into fame and brilliance. Her name was Augusta Ada Byron, later known as Ada Lovelace. She was the daughter of the famous Romantic poet Lord George Gordon Byron and Lady and Isabella Milbanke Byron, a highly educated woman with a passion for mathematics. But Ada's parents' marriage was short-lived. Just a few weeks after her birth, Lord Byron left England and never saw his daughter again. Lady Byron, determined that her daughter would not inherit her father's poetic temperament, focused Ada's education on logic, science, and mathematics. From a very young age, Ada showed a deep curiosity for how things worked. She built mechanical wings and dreamed of flying machines. Her imagination and logical mind were a rare combination for her time, especially for a woman. She was destined to become something extraordinary, not a poet of words, but a poet of numbers. A mother's influence. Lady Anne Byron, known as the Princess of Parallelograms for her mathematical intellect, played a crucial role in shaping Ada's mind. She hired the best tutors to teach her daughter arithmetic, geometry, and logic. Among them was Mary Somerville, a renowned Scottish mathematician and scientist who became Ada's mentor and lifelong friend. Lady Byron's strict discipline was meant to suppress any dangerous imagination. Yet, ironically, it was Ada's imagination that gave her mathematical genius its unique character. While most Victorian women were expected to focus on art, manners, and marriage, Ada was reading scientific journals and solving complex equations. Her mother's influence gave her structure, while her natural creativity made her ideas boundless. By the age of 17, Ada's talents were recognized in London's intellectual circles. It was through these gatherings that she would soon meet a man whose invention would change the course of her life and the world. Meeting Charles Babbage. In 1833, at a London party, Ada Lovelace was introduced to Charles Babbage, a brilliant but eccentric inventor and mathematician. Babbage was already famous for designing the difference engine, a mechanical calculator meant to perform mathematical tables automatically. When Babbage showed Ada a small working model of the machine, she was fascinated. Unlike others who saw a complex piece of metal, Ada saw something far greater, the potential of machinery to think. This meeting sparked a partnership that would last for years. Ada became deeply interested in Babbage's ideas and corresponded with him frequently about mathematics and mechanics. Babbage was struck by her intelligence and began calling her the Enchantress of Numbers. Ada, still in her teens, had found her intellectual equal in her life's purpose: to understand and expand the possibilities of machines. The analytical engine. While the difference engine was impressive, Babbage's next project was revolutionary: the analytical engine. It was a proposed general-purpose computing machine, designed with an arithmetic unit, memory, and punch cards for instructions, the fundamental architecture of a modern computer. Ada Lovelace studied the plans in detail and immediately grasped the true potential of the invention. She realized that the analytical engine could do far more than simple calculations. It could follow instructions and manipulate symbols, just like human thought. Where Babbage saw a mathematical calculator, Ada envisioned an engine of creation, capable of producing music, art, and science through coded instructions. This visionary leap would become the foundation of computer programming. Ada wasn't just interpreting Babbage's ideas. She was expanding them beyond what anyone in the 19th century could imagine. Marriage and family life. In 1835, at the age of 19, Ada married William King, who later became the Earl of Lovelace. After marriage, she was known as Countess Ada Lovelace. The couple had 3 children: Byron, Anne, and Ralph. Despite her domestic responsibilities, Ada continued her passion for mathematics and scientific research. Her husband supported her intellectual interests, and her home in Surrey became a gathering place for mathematicians, scientists, and writers. Balancing motherhood and study was never easy. Victorian society did not favor women pursuing science, but Ada was determined. She managed her family while continuing correspondence with leading thinkers. Her home life gave her a sense of stability, but her mind constantly sought the challenge of numbers and theories. It was during this period that fate would give her the opportunity to leave her mark on the history of computing forever. Translating the future. In 1842, Italian engineer Luigi Minabrea published a paper in French about Charles Babbage's analytical engine. Babbage asked Ada to translate it into English for a British scientific audience. Ada not only translated the article, she added her own extensive notes, which turned out to be 3 times longer than the original paper. Her notes by the translator described in stunning detail how the machine could be programmed to perform not just arithmetic, but any operation expressible by numbers. She even created an algorithm for computing Bernoulli numbers, widely considered the first computer program in history. Ada also predicted that future machines could create complex art, compose music, and even think, a prediction that foreshadowed artificial intelligence. In her words, the analytical engine weaves algebraic patterns just as the jacquard loom weaves flowers and leaves. This was the birth of computational imagination. The first programmer. Ada Lovelace's notes on the analytical engine are now regarded as the first detailed explanation of programming logic. She understood that a machine could manipulate symbols according to rules, a concept far ahead of its time. Her algorithm for the Bernoulli numbers is today recognized as the world's first published computer program. What makes Ada's work remarkable is that no physical computer existed during her lifetime. Her program was written entirely for a theoretical machine, proving her genius in abstract reasoning. She invented concepts like loops, sequences, and conditions, the very principles modern programmers still use. While Babbage built the machinery, it was Ada who gave it a soul, transforming metal gears into a language of logic and creativity. Her insight marked the moment humanity took its first step toward the digital age. Struggles and illness. Despite her brilliance, Ada Lovelace's life was not free from hardship. She suffered from frequent health problems, migraines, fevers, and digestive issues. Her attempts to manage her pain often led to the use of medications like laudanum, opium, which affected her physical and mental stability. Ada also faced financial difficulties. In her later years, she tried to apply mathematical models to horse race betting, hoping to prove her theories in probability. Unfortunately, this ended in failure and debt. Her relationship with Babbage became strained due to financial misunderstandings, though mutual respect remained. In the end, Ada's body began to fail her, but her mind, even in sickness, never lost its fascination with the language of machines. The final days. By 1851, Ada's health had worsened. She was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and treatments at that time were painful and ineffective. Confined to her bed, Ada spent her last months surrounded by family and close friends. She made peace with many people, including her estranged mother. In her final days, Ada became deeply spiritual and reflective. She died on November 27, 1852, at the age of 36, the same age at which her father, Lord Byron, had died. Following her wish, she was buried beside him at the Church of St. Mary Magdalene in Hucknall, Nottinghamshire. Her passing went largely unnoticed by the scientific community of her time. But history was not done with Ada Lovelace. Her legacy was only beginning to unfold. Rediscovery and recognition. For decades after her death, Ada Lovelace's contributions were forgotten. Charles Babbage's analytical engine was never completed, and her work lay buried in archives. It wasn't until the mid-20th century, during the rise of electronic computing, that her notes were rediscovered. Historians and computer scientists realized that Ada had envisioned modern computing 100 years before it became reality. In 1953, her translated notes were republished, and computer pioneers like Alan Turing and John von Neumann acknowledged her foresight. Ada Lovelace was no longer just a historical curiosity. She became a symbol of visionary thought and women's intellectual power in science and technology. Her rediscovery marked the beginning of her transformation into a legend. Legacy in modern computing. Today, Ada Lovelace is celebrated as the first computer programmer and a foundational figure in computer science. In 1979, the U.S. Department of Defense named a computer programming language ADA in her honor, used for complex systems such as aviation and defense. Her story has inspired generations of scientists, mathematicians, and especially women in STEM fields. Ada's vision, that machines could process not just numbers but ideas, became the philosophical seed of artificial intelligence. Every computer, algorithm, and code written today carries a spark of Ada's original imagination. She proved that science and art, logic and creativity could exist together in perfect harmony, a timeless message for our digital world. Ada Lovelace Day. To honor her groundbreaking work, Ada Lovelace Day is celebrated every year on the second Tuesday of October. It recognizes the achievements of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. On this day, institutions, universities, and tech organizations worldwide remember her not only as the first programmer, but also as a symbol of curiosity, courage, and innovation. Through lectures, workshops, and tributes, her story continues to inspire a new generation of dreamers and inventors. Ada Lovelace Day reminds us that progress is not just about machines. It's about imagination and human potential. As Ada once wrote, "Imagination is the discovering faculty. It penetrates into the unseen worlds around us." The eternal enchantress. Ada Lovelace lived only 36 years, yet her ideas outlived centuries. She transformed Charles Babbage's mechanical dream into a conceptual universe that birthed the modern computer. Her ability to blend poetry and mathematics made her a pioneer of two worlds, logic and imagination. She saw the invisible future when no one else could. Today, as we build artificial intelligence and explore digital realities, we walk in the footsteps of Ada's vision. Her story is not just about machines. It's about human creativity, intellect, and the courage to imagine the impossible. From the daughter of a poet to the mother of computer science, Ada Lovelace remains a shining example of what happens when imagination meets intellect. She was, and forever will be, the Enchantress of Numbers.